All right. The moose, the moose,
The moose,
swimming in the water,
swimming in the water,
eating his supper.
eating his supper.
Where did he go?
Where did he go?
He went to sleep.
He went to sleep. To the next episode of the Campfire Chats. The purpose of these Crosley Campfire Chats is to do what we do best, and that's to bring people together. And for today's episode, I want to welcome former alumni, former staff, Josh Franklin. Welcome, Josh.
Hey, Mark, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. Working at camp was a blast. I was there from 2007 to 2010, and looking back on some of those memories, it's just it was a great experience. Something I'll never forget. So thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, Josh. And I was mentioning this to you a little bit earlier. I mean, one of the names that continues to pop up during your time period, whether they were former campers or staff, is the name Josh Franklin and the impact that you had. So thank you. I mean, on our end. And so you've made a huge impact. So Josh, and again, let's just kind of go, we'll dive right into the questions.
Okay.
You're basically a Muncie kid. However, you didn't come to camp in the summertime, but you have a connection, or you had a connection with Camp Crosley. So kind of tell me how you got started with Camp Crosley, even though you may have not have started as a summer camper.
Yeah, so I grew up in Muncie, and I went to a school on the campus of Ball State University called Burris. And Burris every year takes their fourth and fifth graders to Camp Crosley in May for outdoor education. So I went as a fourth and fifth grader with my elementary school. So that's how I was introduced to camp. And it was just one of those things in elementary school. That was like the big thing you were looking forward to all year, just because it was so fun. And I remembered the counselors that we had. We actually had with us Ball State students who were usually in the teaching program come and, they were our counselors with the school for the couple of days that we were there. And I was like, man, it'd be so cool to be a counselor one day. And then when I was in college, I kind of looked into it and met you, and that's how I got involved. I actually started, I went back with Burris as a counselor first, and that's how I met the summer staff and was like, this would be cool to do as a job all summer. So that's how I got involved. And then I realized all the toys and cool things that the summer camp actually got to do that we didn't even get to do on outdoor ed. So I was all in at that point.
I know when you were up here and when I was working with Burris, I was like, man, this is a guy we need to have on our staff. And so, man, definitely appreciative of you joining the team. So, you joined the staff at Camp Crosley. And so how many years did you spend at Camp Crosley, and kind of what were your roles?
So in terms of working for the summer staff, I was there for 4 years. Started out as just a counselor for the first 2 years, mainly working with the teenagers. So the Challenger program, right? Did I get that right? It's been a while. And then the last 2 years, I was the teen village manager, which was a lot of fun. I worked with Evie Longstreth, no longer Longstreth anymore. But Evie and I think, formed a great team working as managers for the teen village. And we were actually there when it kind of became a thing, because my very first year was the last year that the teenagers were still on main camp. So we kind of saw the teen village come to life, and that was cool.
So what was it, so you were very instrumental in shaping and forming the North Village along with Evie. And so a lot of what we do is still a lot of things that we did when you were there, and things that you and Evie implemented. So kudos to you and what you guys were able to accomplish there. But so what was it about camp that, you spent 4 summers at Camp Crosley? And so what was it about camp that wanted you to come back summer after summer?
I'll tell you what, if I could, I'd still be working there. Honestly, it's the relationships, far and away the number one reason. I was, a college kid trying to find myself a little bit as a counselor, and just meeting all of these people, not only from different areas in Indiana and America, but all over the world. I think my first summer, we had about 50% of our staff was not were from other countries, which was awesome. So just meeting people from Australia and New Zealand and Britain and Africa, like just all over, was awesome. And that really is kind of what kept me coming back, just because you make friends at camp in such a unique way that they're lifelong friends, and everything feels it's real because you're unplugged from technology and you're not sitting in front of a TV and you're not text messaging and you don't have any of these distractions. So I think you have really deep, genuine relationships that are built really quickly, and that's what kept me coming back. And then also the other reason is working with kids. Camp Crosley is what inspired me to choose my profession as a teacher. I wasn't sure when I first worked at Camp Crosley, I was a graphic design major. And after one summer, I was like, I love working with kids. So changed my major, and I've been a teacher now. I think I'm in my 10th or 11th year, getting up there now. And that's all due to camp. So I just loved the relationships, both with my coworkers and with the kids there.
So Josh, 4 years, a lot of great camp memories. And I know your relationship with a lot of the staff went beyond than just the summer. So, and I'll kind of let you decide how you want to go with this next question. But, when we think of camp, memories just start pouring in. So favorite camp memory or memories with camp people?
Man, when you emailed me a list of questions, this is the one I knew I was going to struggle on. There's so many memories. It's hard to pinpoint one. I started looking back on pictures. I'll try to think while I'm talking here for a specific memory or two. But I think one big thing for me was getting over my fear of heights. I was a high ropes instructor, and I think I probably sent 1,000 kids down the zip line in my time at Camp Crosley, it felt like, and just kind of hanging off the edge 40 feet in the air, and having the staff members there when you're first learning how to do that, to cheer you on and help you through your fear. That was really cool. Just building relationships with people. I mean, a couple of people that worked at Camp Crosley came out to Colorado for my wedding. I know I have a place to stay in multiple countries if I ever travel. One memory outside of camp that I really appreciate was in 2012, I was on my way to Africa, and we did a pit stop in London, and I met up with 2 former staff members, actually 3 former staff members, and unfortunately it should have been more, but we couldn't work it out with everybody. But I met Chris Dangerman there in London, and that was really cool. And then Josh Woodcock and Mary Norris the next day took me and the person I was traveling with all around, and were kind of our tour guides. So that was awesome, and that was because of Camp Crosley. Knowing I had people already there and who could help me out through that. Some other memories, spending a lot of time. Evie and I are really good friends. She's one of my best friends, and we spent a lot of time at her lake house, which was near camp, and just all the jet skiing memories and everything that took place at Evie's was awesome. There was one time, I think it was my first year there. There was a counselor named Bobby who was pretty small, probably, only weighed about 140 pounds. And I remember watching you, Mark, shoot him off the blob. And I have a picture, and he's probably like 15 or 20 feet in the air. It was crazy. So just all kinds of, I could go on and on and on about memories, but being outdoors, doing cool things out of your comfort zone with really awesome people from different backgrounds is what made Camp Crosley so special.
So Josh, you have a memory about, you've shared a lot of memories about you and other staff, but you also have some memories of some of the kids that you oversaw and that you worked with.
Yeah. So 2 of my favorite memories, just with our particular cabin, that I can think, actually, now I have 3. So I basically worked with the same co-counselor, James from England, for an entire summer, and we had the older boys, and we used to love, and we had the same kids for like, I think 4 or 5 straight weeks, basically, with 1 or 2 coming in or out. So we became a pretty tight-knit family, and we loved to prank James. I think it was whenever he would go take a shower once a week, we would prank him. And one time we taped like all of the mattresses up on the ceiling of it was the nature center, I think, back then where we were staying. James, like, normally he was pretty cool about it, and he got so mad that night. But with that same group, we had, in my personal opinion, and I don't think I'm the only one here, the best mock rock of all time. planned mainly by Willie Griswold. And we were in the chapel still on main camp, and we utilized the indoor high ropes course that used to be in there for the mock rock. And Mark, I think it's Mark Bailey.
Mark Bailey,
Yeah,
yes.
he was swinging back and forth in the middle of that song with waving glow sticks, and it was super cool because everyone was just shocked that there was a camper floating in the air during this mock rock. So that was awesome. And then my last one, there was a 12. Do you guys still have the wall, the 12-foot wall?
Yes, the team wall.
The team wall, which is really, really, really hard to do if you follow all the rules. I mean, we did it in staff training and, as adults, and really struggled with that. And with this cabin I had, there was one particular boy who was terrified to go up that wall, and everybody else had kind of worked their way up. And just seeing the teamwork and the encouragement, the building up of this individual, his name was Nick, this camper, and they were able to work together and get him up and over that wall. And I've never seen, after a camper had completed a task, just the entire cabin so happy, not for their accomplishment, but for somebody else's accomplishment. And they were so jovial. We went into the dining hall and they were like screaming songs the whole time, singing SpongeBob and all these other songs, probably being really obnoxious at dinner, but they had just, accomplished one of the coolest things that they'd ever seen. And that was a really cool memory of mine with campers.
So, I mean, favorite camp activity, you mentioned high ropes. Any other activities that, when you think about camp that you're just like, man, I wish I'd be able to go back and do?
Well, that's what makes camp so great, is there's so many things to do. I don't think you could ever really get burnt out. Obviously, my specialty there was high ropes and the rock wall. I loved seeing kids, push themselves, especially on that cliffhanger side of the rock wall. Or, if they had a fear of heights, jumping off the pole and grabbing the trapeze bar. Those were great. Zip line's a classic, but all the water activities, all the field games. I remember we did this big all camp activity at the teen village one night a week where it was basically like a team relay challenge, but it encompassed just like kind of running around, and there was water parts, there was trivia, and it was just a lot of fun. Playing the game Fire. I wonder if you still do that with risk management anymore. Yeah, that was a classic, one of my favorites. And then cooking out on that beautiful deck over in the North Teen Village. Man, sometimes I miss those sunsets. Those were awesome. And then the other thing, out in Colorado, we don't hardly ever get any storms. It's either sunny or it's snowing. So watching some of those just really awesome storms on the lake, with that smell of rain, that's very unique to Camp Crosley. I don't think I've experienced a storm like that since I have been at camp. So just kind of missed that part too.
So Josh, let's kind of move from Camp Crosley, and you've kind of touched a little bit as far as what you're doing now. You're no longer in Indiana, but you're all the way out west in Colorado. You mentioned you're a teacher there for 10 years. Not only teacher, but you also coach as well. So talk a little bit more about that, and so how did you end up in Colorado, and how are things transpiring since leaving Camp Crosley?
Okay. Yeah. So I moved to Colorado. I taught 1 year in Indiana, in Muncie, where I grew up. And then I decided I just wanted to change. And really it was camp. I loved the outdoor kind of experience of camp, and kind of the people that I met were just kind of those adventurous, like I want to be outside. And I didn't really know much about Colorado other than it had a reputation of being an outdoorsy state. So I just interviewed for a bunch of jobs and landed one and moved here on a whim without ever visiting before my interview. And it's been great. It was an adjustment period for a little bit, not knowing anybody. I moved out here not knowing really anybody. I had one friend from college, but I'm in a fantastic school district and have a bunch of great coworkers now. And I've been at the same school since I've moved here, which is I teach 8th grade social studies. And then I coach girls softball at the high school level. So softball is one of those sports I didn't really pay much attention to growing up, and then decided just to try it out as a coach 1 year and fell in love with it. It's like baseball, which is my favorite sport that I played, only a lot faster pace because everything's closer together. And it's been great. We had our team made it to the final 8 in state playoffs last year. So it's been really fun. working with older kids and middle school age kids, and watching my athletes. We've had a couple go to college on scholarship, so that's really quite cool to see as well. And then in my personal life, I did something last year. So I got married. I have a beautiful wife named Elizabeth, and we've been together 4 or 5 years. We got married last August, right before the school year started. So I told her we need to start working on having kids so we can get them out to Camp Crosley when they're at the right age. So,
Hey, I like the sound of that, definitely, for sure. So what are some things that you learned while at Crosley that has maybe helped you or helped translate into what you do as a teacher?
just the overall aspect of knowing that each kid's different, and you really get to experience that at camp. I think working at camp gave me such an appreciation for how kids are different individually, and that people react to things different ways and they learn things different ways. And you can, a kid might be shut off at first, but trying to, figure out something that you have in common with them. And sometimes even at camp, it took several days before you could make a connection with every single kid in your cabin. And that's something I've taken into the teaching profession. And it's really helped me out. Just knowing that people learn different ways, people react differently to different situations, and just to be open-minded about all of that, because we're not all the same. And I think Camp Crosley has such a great learning experience that takes place outside of the classroom. Like, it's a fun summer camp, but it's also a great learning opportunity for kids. So, I appreciate learning that also takes place outside of the classroom. So trying to make my classroom as interactive as possible. And that's a lesson that I learned from Camp Crosley. So.
Okay. So, let's stick with the teaching, and certainly, especially this year with the whole pandemic and COVID-19. So, I mean, and I know know a lot of teachers, and I know how stressful it has been. So how have you adjusted to COVID-19? Are you all virtual, or what are some things that you are doing differently that you weren't expecting to do during this pandemic?
Yeah, great question. Before I get to that, I just thought of 2 hilarious memories that I want to share after this, okay? That actually took place at camp. So teaching during the pandemic, I'll be honest, we shut down in March. I was actually on a ski trip with a couple of coworkers the week or 2 before our spring break in Steamboat Springs, and we were watching my favorite basketball team, the Butler Bulldogs, play in the Big East tournament at night. And Kamar Baldwin, their best player, their senior, he came down and he hit a 3 at the buzzer to win the game. And they advanced to the next round of the Big East tournament. And little did I know that was the last time I'd ever watch him play college basketball, or Butler that year, because they shut down the NBA like 2 or 3 days later. Then the national basketball tournament got shut down. And then they told us we had a 2-week spring break while they were trying to figure everything out. And we never went back to school after spring break. So I was teaching virtually the whole spring, which, for what it was, I think it was interesting. I actually started a YouTube channel to teach history. So that was fun. Gave me an opportunity to do a little video editing, which I've enjoyed. But I didn't really leave the house much except for walking the dogs I kept track. I had like 160 days straight of quarantine where I didn't really go anywhere like inside another building besides my house. So, but we're back in school in person now, in a hybrid model. So we have the kids come in 2 days a week, and then we have like a virtual day on Wednesdays where everybody's at home. But I only see my particular students in person 1 day a week. So it's been really challenging because I'm such a relationship builder type of teacher, and I want to get to know my students. And that's been really hard, only seeing them once a week. And on top of that, everybody has a face mask on. So I'm learning how to read smiling with eyes and other body language besides, facial expressions. And I'm not getting very good at it. I'll be honest, it's hard. So, but, I think overall it's going as well as possible. And hopefully, next year we'll go back to normal. We'll see what happens, but it's been hard, but good.
So you mentioned you have 2 memories that just popped in your head. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
I don't know if this still happens, and if it doesn't, you need to talk to your current staff about this. But for a couple of years, we used to go to this wings place, and I can't even remember it. It was at the the very end of staff
Wings,
training.
etc. Wings,
Yes.
etc.
And they have like a 16 jumbo wing hot challenge that you can do. And you have to eat all your wings before you can take a drink of anything. And I remember I had never wanted to participate. And finally, I think the very last year I participated, and I'm sitting there crying. I'm pacing back and forth. My mouth's on fire. And I look up at my buddy, Sam, who I actually went to college with as well, Sam Paulum. And he finished the challenge, and he's just over there like, no big deal. Nothing happened. Like, I was like, Sam, is your mouth not on fire? And he's just like, it's another normal meal. I think he finished first or second in the race. And I'm sitting there crying across the table from him. So that was fun. And then the other one, so one of my favorite book series is Harry Potter. And the last Harry Potter book was released when I was at summer camp in 2007, I believe. And a bunch of us went to Walmart, like when we had that Saturday off, and all bought copies of it. And I'll never forget Sarah Littman and Graham and I'm sure other people, those are the two I remember, we were all kind of laying out on the dock there on the river, or on the lake, just reading Harry Potter. And then every couple of chapters we'd reconvene. Hey, did you hear what happened? No, I'm not there yet. But just talk about a great place to read the Harry Potter the first time through, sitting out on the dock on the lake with people from all over the world. That was awesome. So,
well,
sorry,
you have somebody from, you have somebody from Scotland, you have somebody from England, and hearing their point of view.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah, certainly amazing. So, Josh, kind of going back onto, this whole pandemic thing, and as a teacher, I know you guys are going above and beyond what you normally do, and I certainly want to say thank you, because I know the work that you guys are putting into. So, words of encouragement, because I know there's a lot of, I'm going to say bashing as far as how this year's gone and things like that, but words of encouragement for those that are going to school, maybe that's in college, or maybe some of these individuals that are teachers. Words of encouragement from you.
Yeah. So another thing I learned from camp is everybody has a story and a struggle. And as you get to know people, you just have this new appreciation for how people persevere through adversity. And that was one cool thing about camp is you talk to people and you get to know their stories, and man, this person made it through all of that. What a cool story. And there was countless stories like that. And this is just another thing we as a nation have to persevere through. And individually, I know it gets hard. I know the work is really difficult. And some people really, they're in their comfort zone. They excel with this technology and this online thing. But a lot of people need that social atmosphere, and they want to be in person, and they don't like doing their work all on a computer. You're going to get through this. I'll say that. It might take a little bit of work, but you're going to look back and be a stronger person because of this. And you're going to have a lot of skills that maybe students didn't have in the past. I'm already seeing it with my 8th graders. They're becoming way more organized using technology, and they're learning how to email appropriately, and they know how to get on the grade book and look for their assignments a lot better now. So there's a lot of positives that have come from this too. So keep fighting the good fight, and this will be over at some point, and then school maybe will be normal again. But if you're in college, get it done. All right. Enjoy your college experience and get it done. And yeah.
Well, appreciate it, Josh. We're at the tail end of the interview, and the way that we kind of wrap up the interview is with your favorite camp song, or at least maybe the song that you remember the most. So the floor is all yours, Josh.
Hang on, I think my internet is cutting out. No, I'm just kidding. Put me on the spot singing a song. This is never my forte. There's several songs you could sing, but I thought I can't do this by myself, so I'm going to do a repeat after me song. So this is a repeat after me song, Mark.
This is a repeat after me.
All right. The moose, the moose.
The moose, the moose.
Swimming in the water.
Swimming in the water.
Eating his supper.
Eating his supper.
Where did he go?
Where did he go?
He went to sleep.
He went to sleep.
That's all I got for you.
And that's as far as all, like, yeah, that's good. I appreciate you and humoring all of us. But again, Josh, thank you so much for joining us for this Crosley Campfire chat, and hopefully this will certainly bring back memories, not only for you, but for the people that were around you and the people that were at camp when you were there. And again, I can't say how much you have impacted those that were around you, and I can't say enough. I mean, in many ways, you've embodied the spirit of Camp Crosley, and so I appreciate you and in that aspect. So again, thank you, Josh Franklin, for being here in this Crosley Campfire chat, and we hope that all of you that are watching will join us for the next one. And so just remember, this is good night and not goodbye. Thank you.
All right, the moose, the moose.
The moose, the moose.
Swimming in the water.
Swimming in the water.
Eating his supper.
Eating his supper.
Where did he go?
Where did he go?
He went to sleep.
He went to sleep.